leg.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I went to one place in town when I was younger, and the reason I went was because they paid for my hospital stay.
Mm-hmm.
And I was required to go see a psychiatrist who then the psychiatrist was in Raleigh and she was on a TV screen.
Oh wow.
Now that's how we do it now. I do video conferences with my doctor, but that's due to
The pandemic. Mhm.
yep.
Yeah, I do too. Because I used to go into the VA all the time, but since the pandemic, we do everything virtually. Like every Monday, I have my group from 1 to 2:30, and we do it virtually. You know, and that's the thing too. The pandemic has put such a strain on a lot of people's mental health. It's like
Especially even people that didn't have a mental health problem prior to this,
that
just
one now.
normal stresses. Everybody has a bad day. Everybody
Yep.
has a bad week. But it's driven some to the point of opioid addictions, you know,
Hmm.
mental health issues. It's driven some to suicide. That one poor nurse in New York, she beat COVID twice, went back to taking care of her patients, and then took her own life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got people out here acting like fools.
Total fools.
I mean, when it snows here in my state, it's rare.
Hmm.
In my area, people act like they don't know how to drive. But now that everybody's coming out of lockdown, they really don't know how to drive. And then you got these people that are thinking, oh, well, I'm just going to use this face mask to go in here and shoot somebody up or rob convenience store or whatever. They're using this garb that we're supposed to wear for the rest of our damn lives um, to commit crimes.
Exactly. This pandemic has driven, like you said, a lot of people that normally are fine, totally drove them like totally because they didn't know what to do with themselves. You know what I'm saying? You telling them they got to stay locked in their house.
That's
You
like
know
telling a teenager that you can't be out past midnight and you're not going to this rock show or you're not
exactly.
going to see Eminem. If my mom would have told me when I was younger, like she tried to tell me, she's like, you're not taking your son to the Carolina Rebellion with all them rock bands. The hell I ain't. And we've been going every year since.
Yeah, and it's just like this situation. Now you tell everybody they gotta stay at home, they gotta wear a mask when going out, and then you gotta stay 6 feet, apart. If I see a friend I haven't seen in many years, the first thing I want to do is give her a hug. You tell me I can't give a hug because this, you
Yeah.
know.
And I'm not one to really go out and do a lot of stuff these days. I'm not like it was when I was younger. I'm more of a homebody. But once they told me that I couldn't go to work, when they told me that I couldn't go, I could go to Walmart, but I had certain hours I had to go there. I had to be there by a certain time. I couldn't go to my favorite craft store. You had to order online, get it curbside, or have it delivered. The first thing I wanted to do was get in my car and run up all over the roads.
Yeah, right. I mean, come
I
on.
got so used to going to Sheets curbside service in my pajamas, I still do it.
Hmm.
But it's because I'm recovering from surgery for cancer and,
Right.
you know,
But that's the thing. And I'm like you. For the most part, I'm like a homebody. But usually, like when the weather turns nice, I'm about like 3.5 hours away from New York City. When the weather gets really nice, every now and again, I'll get on the trailways and I'll take it into the city just to get out of the house for some fresh air. You know,
right.
see some friends and stuff like that. Ever since this pandemic, I'm like, oh hell. you know. Now I can't even do that. you know, but and that's why I thank God for my diamond painting. Because if it wasn't for my diamond painting, I think I would go absolutely stir crazy.
Yeah, I've actually played the piano since I was 10.
Uh-huh.
My parents saved up the money and got me enrolled in lessons, and they ended up saving up $500 to get me an electric piano, which I still have to
Uh-huh.
this day. It's got some issues, but then again, I don't practice like I used to, so I got issues. And when my son comes in the room and starts singing along to a song I'm playing, then we really got issues.
Oh Lord, so is going on.
But I like to play a song like Angels on the Moon from Thriving Ivory.
Uh-huh.
Don't Wake Me If I'm Dying, because I don't want to know. I can play that on the piano, and I play it with them singing in the background on one of my devices so that I'll have their vocals, because I can't sing a lick,
Right.
and I ain't going to try and play and sing at the same time. We're going to have a mess. But then
That
I got into jewelry making,
uh-huh.
and that kind of turned the tables for me. And then I started doing coloring, and I do dot to dots that have 1,000 dots. Um, yeah, my eyesight's getting worse, but I'm doing the worlds of wonder, like the Taj Mahal, you
Ooh,
know,
yeah.
the Sydney, Australia, yeah, those dots are tiny in the numbers. I got a magnifier that I hang around my neck so that I can
They smaller than the
zero in.
girls.
And then I got into adult coloring,
Uh-huh.
and um, I have coloring apps on my Nook, and I love to read. I'm into fantasy series, Of course, I read the Bible. My grandfather was a Baptist minister until he died at 65 with a sudden heart attack. And my grandmother played the piano for the church, and the year before the pandemic, she was going into dementia, and we were trying to take care of her at home, and we got it to where the windows were nailed shut and stuff, and we had a key that could, we could get in and out, but she found tools and climbed out a window one night, and luckily the
Wow.
man was nice and found her. She was walking in the rain with her purse, and we got a bang on the door at 2 in the morning, and it was cops,
Wow.
and they had my grandma. Now, the irony of this is that my grandfather died in the year we had the 9/11 attacks,
Uh-huh.
and then my great grandmother died the week after, and then we had
Mm.
the attacks. His heart couldn't have handled that.
Wow.
It just couldn't. I mean, you
That's too
know,
much.
yeah, and it was too much for anybody. But he went to Piedmont Bible College. He was a Baptist minister. He preached. My grandmother got dementia before the pandemic. If she were in her right state of mind right now, she would worry sick.
Mm.
So even though they both went through traumas, and my grandma doesn't know who I am anymore, she's
Uh-huh.
back in her teenage years. I think that was God's way of saving them from a massive load of heartache
Uh-huh.
and pain.
Well, see, and that's the thing. Like when my mom got sick, because she had a combination of AIDS, you know, with cancer going on. And when she went to the hospital, I know my sister told me, she said, she said, you may have to go and reintroduce yourself to her because, her memory is going in and out, And I said, that's fine. Every single time I go in, I introduce myself to her. My mama shoot me a look like, you don't think I know who my baby daughter is? I said, I'm just saying, okay. All right, pipe down. you know, let's not get feisty, you know. But
Yeah.
and that's the way she was till the day she died. She was like, one day I went to visit her in the hospital, and she was like saying something. I'm like, I didn't know what she was talking about. I was like, okay, maybe the woman really did flip her cookies. I don't know, But my sister was saying when she was in a coma, she said she's repeating what she heard the doctor say while she was in a coma. I said, oh, you can hear people when you in the coma? Obviously you can. you know and you know what, and I could just see my mom just like ear hustling, because she did that even before she would say, shh, I'm trying to hear, stop being so damn nosy, lady.
You
That's mother
know,
you.
speaking of being in the hospital, when they had to induce my labor, of course, I was raped when I was 21, of course, and I kept the child.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he doesn't know that, never will. But they had to induce my labor because I was 2 weeks overdue and he wasn't moving.
Mm-hmm.
And so they tried the Pitocin and it started the labor process, but he was not coming out. He was like, "No, I'm not. I'm staying."
You feng shuied it up to
Uh-uh.
that.
Yeah. So they had to take me in for an emergency C-section and they had given me an epidural, so I was kind of like woozy. And they're cutting me open and they're talking about when they're done with my surgery, what time they're going to tee off at the golf. And I'm like,
Y'all know I can hear you, right?
my mom was in the room with me and they're like, yeah, I think 9 o'clock should be a good tee off time. You know, I think I'm going to kick your ass at golf. And I'm like, look, I'm about to kick somebody's the end of the table if y'all don't get this thing out of me and sew me out.
Don't not tee it off. I'm trying to get this baby out of me.
And my poor mom we didn't bring a camera, it was
Mm-hmm.
emergency. And so my poor mom was so freaked out. They gave her a Polaroid. And when the baby, my son Jacob, started coming out, she didn't get the first part of him. She got the ass end coming out. So,
Hi,
my son has a picture of his ass coming. Me-
Grandma. Oh dear.
and the only reason they did an emergency C-section was because they wanted to try the stirrups or whatever those things, the forceps.
Beautiful.
But my mom works for the hospital, not for that one, but for our other local. And I remember seeing her reach across when he said forceps, and her taking her hands and heading for his neck and going, "She will have a C-section. Do I
Hello.
make myself clear?" And I'm thinking, Mama, please, God, don't choke
Don't
the
tell this man
doctor.
why you trying to help give me this baby. Don't do it.
Well, I told her to tell me if she was in pain. Well, my daughter's laying here crying. What do you think that means? She's happy?
You know? I'm sorry. I'm
So
still visiting this baby's ass. You got hello. I'm still visiting this baby's ass. Oh dear.
and they held him up so I could see him, and all I could see was doubles. And I'm like, no, 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 no. There's supposed to be one.
Wait, I see two. No, one. What's happening?
But when my sister was pregnant, I don't know, I had a gut feeling, and I'm like, you're gonna have twins. And she said, shut your mouth. Well, I have nephews, Austin and Brandon. They're twins. One's autistic. Yeah, she still wants to kill me to this day, but she loves her children.
Oh dear.
So my son, when he was 17 years old, and I was working as a cake decorator at Walmart, and apparently while he was at home in the care of my father, which of course he's 17, he's cleaning his own room and he had a clear glass plate over his dresser. And he was cleaning it and it slipped and he tried to catch it and it broke and it cut him. Well, my dad and of course they're men, they tried to bandage them themselves. Didn't tell mom, didn't call me at work, nothing. I get home and he goes, Mom, I think I need to go to the ER. I'm like, okay, what'd you do? I cut myself and Paul fixed it. Okay. And it was between his thumb and his pointer finger. So I took him to the adult, ER, and they said, well, he's only 17. Until he's 18, he's got to go down to Brenner's. So I had to take him down to the children's, and he goes in there and she goes, you know what? It's a good thing you came in because if you wouldn't have, you're going to wind up with an infection in this, but I'm not sure if we can put stitches in it. We might have to do the butterfly thing, and I'm going to have to abrasively scrub it. That woman, doctor, went to scrub his, he balled up his fist, and I stopped him and I said, first, she's a woman, and second, she's a doctor.
Don't do
You
that.
you can't knock her out. You can't knock her out. But when he got his shot when he was 13, he don't deal well with needles. I said, you can hold mom's hand. You're 13. Nobody's going to know. The lady asked me afterwards if I needed to have my hand x-rayed because that's how tight he squeezed my fingers.
Ouch. Ouch. I
I
thought
thought he was going to die.
I remember, like my mom told, I remember it. I had to been like 7, and I don't do well with needles either, And it's like I'm 4'11", so I was a little bit, at the time, And so when my mom went to take me to the doctor and she went to give me a needle, I said, "No, hell no, you ain't." This little person tore up that whole doctor's office. Give me with that damn needle. I'm sorry. My mama put a whooping on my ass when I got home. What the hell's wrong with you? You done tore up that whole lady's doctor's office. Ow. I'm like, no, you are not going to stick me. And like, I had been like 11 at the time, and I had an abscess. And where my mother worked, she worked at a child care clinic, which is where we all went whenever we had to get our shots and stuff to go to school and stuff. Our primary doctor was there. But down the hallway had a family dentist. And I had an abscess on my tooth. And my mom's like, okay, so we're going to take you to the dentist. I'm like, now, it didn't work so well when I was 7 with the needle. What the hell you think going to end up happening here at the dentist? And it was a family dentist. We've known him for years. He's like, okay, I need you to open up so we can see. I said, mm-mm. He said, Lisa, we need you. Mm-mm. He said, just let me see. Mm-mm. He said, let me put a little medicine. Mm-mm. And he tried to open my mouth. I scooched down and see. Oh, he said, somebody go get her mama. My mama was like, So the doctor's like, he's like, the only way this is going to happen is you're going to have to take her to an actual orthodontist where they have to put her to sleep so that they can get that. He said, that's the only way that's going to happen because she is not going for it. No.
Well, my grandson is 17 months old and he has to have surgery in 2 weeks on his spine. They found a lump, and even if it's benign, it could cause nerve damage or problems walking. I watch PBS Kids with him sometimes during the day. I had him today, and there's a show on there called Molly and Denali.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an episode where they live in a little village in Denali, in Kaya.
Mhm.
And the dentist was being flown in to see all the people and the kids. And her cousin sent her this video that was done by another kid that went to the dentist, and it actually showed a big needle the size of a turkey baster going in this kid's mouth, and then a jackhammer because he had a cavity. So everyone was afraid. So all these kids are hiding in the dog because they don't want to see the dentist. And so the dentist finally found them, and she saw the video and she's like, "You don't really think we use those, do you?"
Yeah. I'm a kid.
A
Yeah.
a jackhammer? Okay, yeah, that's a bit of a big drill there.
You might find a way to get it in there. I don't know.
But I thought that was so funny because I'm like, I hate dentists, but no, I don't think I know they don't use jackhammers.
Yeah. I know that now as an adult.
Right. Well, when back in 2015, I ended up with a septic joint, which spread sepsis through my body due to a dog scratch. And
Mm.
my cousin Ashley, I knew something was really wrong. I didn't want my family to worry, but my cousin took me in the middle of the night to the ER and they immediately took me back and they did stick a turkey baster in my knee and she was holding my hand and watching. And the only one in the room was the doctor with the baster. She goes, "I think I'm going to pass out." And
Oh
the
dear.
doctor says, "You can't pass out. Look at the wall. I'm the only one in here and I've got a needle the size
Oh
of a
dear.
turkey baster in her kneecap. You've got to stay in the upright position." She squeezed my hand harder than I squeezed hers, and I'm the one being stabbed.
Oh dear.
But within 2 hours, I was in surgery.
Mm. Wow. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Yeah, she said, "I'm gonna pass out," and he says, "Honey, you can't. If you fall on the floor and get a concussion, there's nothing I can do for you right now because
Oh
I'm
dear.
stuck in her knee."
Oh no. Oh no. Yeah,
I
see,
know,
and
right?
this is why I said, because when me and Sherry talked, I said, I said I might actually do a whip and chat where, we just sit down and shoot the shit, because I got a lot of military stories that would you like, you really are batshit crazy. I heard you. I'm like, yep. She's like, you should do it. You should do it. I said, I will. I just got to figure out a day that I'll do it. And I just sit and do a whip and chat and just talk about the stupidest things that I've done in the military, if I can remember it all.
Yeah.
Because I was in New Orleans, drinking is legal down there. You can walk up and down Bourbon Street so long as the alcohol is in the cup. They won't mess with you. It has to be in the cup. It can't be in the can. It can't be in the glass. It has to be in the cup. So I'm like, oh dear. You sure you want me to do that? Because there was this one time, I know we're veering off subject a little bit, but we kind of brighten it up a little bit. There was one time, me and a friend of mine's, we went to Pat O'Brien's. They have a little place out there called Pat O'Brien's. We called it Pat O's. And we was on the base. I think this was like a Saturday night. He said, "What you doing?" I said, "I ain't doing nothing. What you doing?" He said, "I ain't doing nothing. Hey, let's go over to Pat O's and have a couple." I said, "All right, let's go to Pat O's." So we go to Pat O's, and there's a drink called a Hurricane. I never knew why they called it a hurricane until I had about 6 of them, and then I realized why they call it a hurricane. Because 6 drinks, I was fine so long as I was sitting. When I stood up, it's like, I was like, oh hell. I'm drunk. I'm drunk. We both of us stand up, trying to stand up. And he was sitting down, and I'm like, I can't do this. He said, I can't do it either. We had a picture. So the next day when I got the picture, I counted how many empty glasses of Hurricanes was on the table. There was 12 empty glasses. That means both of us had 6 apiece.
Phew,
Like, oh,
that gave
damn.
me the shivers.
I was like,
Oh,
oh. He's like, Lisa. I said, what? He said, I'm drunk. I said, me too. So what you want me to do about it? And both of us trying to hold each other up while we trying to get a cab to go back home. We're like, go back to the barracks. You're holding each other up. Like, you got me. I got you. I was like, no. See, and that's the kind of whipping chat I want to do. I want to do something like that. Keep it light, keep it fun, tell funny stories. I know that I got enough of them. So. But this one I wanted to do, because, and you know what? When I started this, I did not even realize that May was Mental Health Awareness Month. I was like, what? Oh, then I'm doing this right at the right time. Okay. And like I told Sherry, like I had uploaded last week on YouTube, and no sooner that I could upload, I got a counselor from Florida. He's a mental health counselor from Florida at a rehab center. And he hit me up. He said, you know what? He said, this is good. He said, good job. Keep up the work. And we were just talking back and forth because the mental health is, you can't really take care of you physically without taking care of yourself mentally.
right,
Those go hand in hand,
right.
Okay, so you in perfect ship shop physically. What about up in here? What about in here? And so, I don't know, I just felt the need to do it. And like I got like a bunch of t-shirts, and I'm figuring out how to, because I got a Cricket Joy too, to make like t-shirts that says it's like a ribbon, like a green purple ribbon that says
Mm-hmm.
break the stigma. And then on the back, and on the back of it's going to say mental health awareness. But on the front, I wanted to say it loud, say it proud, break the stigma. And in the back, mental health awareness. And
Yeah.
I'm working on that too. And that gave me a headache too. I said, but you know what? I'm going to figure this out. Because they sent me, I ordered a silk press machine, to make the shirts.
Right.
Where's the instructions on how to put it together? They gave me one slip of paper, and on that piece of paper is a little bit of diagram, about that big, that shows you how to put it together. I said, and what? What am I supposed to do with that? What the hell am I supposed to do with that?
Well, it's kind of like there's one lyric in that one song that I spoke of earlier that really rings in my head, and it's just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there.
Exactly.
You
And I'm
don't know. You could look at someone and they could be smiling you straight in the face and you not know what's going on in their mind.
exactly. Hold on, I'm gonna get my cigarettes. I see you smoking. I need my cigarettes. Exactly. And I come from a family. I came from a mom that and she was a firm believer. She taught us. She said, "I don't care how bad you feel." She said, "You don't ever let nobody else see what you're feeling. So if you feeling bad, before you leave out this door, you better have a smile on your face." And that kind of, stuff like that does more harm than good,
Yeah.
because even though you feeling ugly on the inside, Now you can't. You're not allowed to show it because the words still ring in your head. Well, in my head, they still ring in my head. You know, don't ever let nobody see you having a bad day. You know, but why not? Everybody has a bad day once in a
Right.
while.
Well,
You
and
know.
it's also, not to cut you off, but I turn to music a lot. All kinds of music. The only thing I don't listen to is hardcore gangster rap, where they're
Right.
effing this and effing
Oh yeah,
that and
yeah,
shooting people up. I
yeah.
do listen to Eminem. Me and my son like Eminem. Um,
Eminem.
yep, and we listen to reggae and stuff. But
Mhm.
it's um, Eminem did a song that reminds me of myself sometimes. I'm friends with the monsters that's under my bed. Get along with the voices inside of my
Inside
head.
my head. Yes, yes. That is my song right there. That
And
and I got some of them. I got that one and I got Not Afraid. I'm not
right,
afraid, which
to
is
take a stand.
yep.
And I played my son. He created a new playlist on Spotify, and I thought, well, I'm gonna check it out. Okay, so I'm listening to rock, and I just hit shuffle play, and it's got all kinds of rock music and stuff on it. And so I'm going through it, and I'm listening to some rock, some Linkin Park and some Five Finger Death Punch, and then an Alabama song comes up, a country song, and I'm like, okay, we're good.
Mm-hmm,
I like this song, Angels Among Us.
mm-hmm.
That was what my daughter-in-law walked down the aisle
Oh,
to.
nice.
But then he threw me way off guard because my son is 26, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there diamond painting, and I hear, "I like big butts, and I cannot lie."
Oh dear. Wow, that's a change.
I'm like, okay, and then he had another one about, my Cadillac. That is my. I'm like, okay, son, you
We
like
need to
big
talk.
butts? You can't. Where did I go wrong somewhere in there? No, I like it. I like the fact that I like the fact that he likes the older music. I took him and my best friend to a Carolina Rebellion, which is like 36 bands over 3 days.
Right. Kind
And
of like Woodstock.
yeah, and
Okay.
one of the bands that played he's no longer the lead singer of a band. He's on his own and he does movies. Rob Zombie.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, I played some of his music when my son was young, but my son, that was his favorite moment of the concert. And the reason being is because me and my best friend Matt, which I'm dating, had seen Rob Zombie as White Zombie when we were younger. And my son was getting to experience that experience with his mom.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I did when I was a teenager. He was getting to experience the exact same thing with me.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I know Rob Zombie. Because now he's in the movies. Now he's done the Halloween. I was like, what kind of trickery, Michael Myers shittery is this? Like, no, but I like the fact that he took it. Because when you see Michael Myers, all you see is this man trying to kill his sister. You
Right.
don't why. Rob Zombie took it all the way back to the beginning. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know. And then when he did Devil's Rejects, I was like, what the flip? And believe it or not, that's like my favorite of all time horror movie was Devil Rejects. I was like, what kind of devil rejectory fuckery going on here? I'm like,
You know, I
no.
I find it though with like some of those like Nightmare on Elm Street, let's see, there was Halloween, there was Jason,
Mhm.
and then there was Home Alone. You can only make so many before it starts to get old.
Yeah.
And now they're coming back with Tales from the Crypt.
Oh, I'm with that. I used to love to watch Tales from the Crypt.
No,
Um,
I remember the episode of the guy falling in the shower and roaches crawling out of his body, and I'm done.
Oh, yes. Oh, you just gave me the yells. I remember that. Ooh.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I was
yeah.
good.
And
Now
see,
I
I
was good
think
after that.
it was. I
Mm,
the thing with Freddie, and this is real the reason why I really liked Freddie, because they took it in a whole different aspect. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just
right.
somebody slashing you. You know, it was
Yeah.
in your dream. He coming after you in your sleep.
I mean, but Home Alone, how many times can you every year they forgot a kid? How do
And the
you
same kid.
I mean, is he like not wanted? I mean,
I'm like, oh dear. How
how
do
do
y'all
you
get that one kid all the time?
I know, and it's always crazy. I mean, it's how many times can you hit a burglar in the head with a can of paint?
I know. And how many times can you go?
Yeah, after he put on that aftershave look,
I know.
and then he's got that TV on, and the pizza delivery guy shows
No.
up,
Yes.
or those burglars or whatever, and he's got this movie on in there, and the gunfire's going off, and he's like, "I'm going to get you, Benny," and then guys are outside are like, "Okay, uh, maybe we shouldn't." But
And
how many I
they
have
had to be the
never
most,
in my entire life have I ever forgotten my son.
and they had to be the most stupidest burglars because they were the same too. Kept hitting up the same kid. You ain't learned your lesson the first go around. They found him in New York. I'm like, what the hell? Oh dear.
I mean, honestly, you forget your car keys, you lose your cell phone. You know, you have to have somebody else call it just to see if it's in your car or wherever. You know,
Mhm.
there's a lot of things you forget, but
You
my
don't forget the
child and
kid.
my grandchild, it's not like I walk out the door and go, "Oh, wait a minute, my grandbaby's in the house."
I know. And then you do it like 3 times. Like, oh, we keep forgetting the same kid all the time. Like,
And my dad has bought my grandson a radio flyer. It is a horse with wheels,
mhm,
he rides it around the room. Well, we have a gate and it's attached to the floor. Well,
mhm.
he's decided, okay, so he's got him like a little cell phone. And I caught him the other day. He was talking on his little cell phone and driving his horse at the same time, about tipped over. Today he was trying to drink his juice while he was driving in a sippy cup. He was driving the horse. Horse don't go neigh. He goes boom, 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 boom. But he's figured out, yeah. So my 17-month-old grandson has decided that he's gonna, when he wants more juice, he's gonna drive his horse straight to the gate. That way, when you open it to go out and get juice, he's gonna make his getaway on that horse and get out of that room.
I don't know if you ever seen the commercial. It was many years ago. I forget what they were advertising. They had the baby in the stroller. I mean, in the walker. And you see a pew, 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 pew. I was like, what the hell is going on with this? I was like, what? I forget what they were advertising, but no, you saw this baby in bing, 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 bing. I was like, what the hell?
Well, I told my grandson today, I'm like, son, I know you learned some words and you still speak some gibberish. You're only 17 months, but when you get older, we're going to have a talk about you driving while you're talking on your phone and drinking your juice.
No.
And you'll hear him. And you'll hear him. He'll be like, it's not a real phone. And he'll be like, hello. So I'll have to cut my mouth like this, and I'll be like, hi, Everett. This is Meemaw. What are you doing? And then he'll just start rambling off random gibberish because but he did pick up a word from my mom, and yeah, dang is his favorite new word.
Oh dear. Oh no.
Yeah, He'll either say uh-oh or dang. But somewhere he picked up some words. I don't know from where, but he went home and he had done something at, my son and my daughter-in-law's house, and he knew he was going to be in trouble for it, and he said, "Oh shit."
Ooh. Ooh.
Well, I'm thinking not my grandson, not my grandson. And then he's over at my house, and me and my dad are sitting in the room, and he was trying to climb into his toy box, and he was having trouble getting in there. And as plain as day, he said, "Oh shit."
Oh dear. Oh dear.
I'm like, we can't have him going to preschool.
The first word he learned is "oh shit." Oh dear. I can see it now. No, you can't do that. Oh shit. Yeah, we need to talk to your parents.
I see parent teacher conferences in the future.
Yeah, you do. Starting at kindergarten.
Oh yeah.
Be like, I don't know. I don't know. Because you don't want to admit to it, but you like, oh, really? Oh, I don't know where he learned that word. Ooh, you in so trouble, young man.
Well, we went to a concert one time, me and my son, and this one was the one my best friend was at. And the lead singer of a band asked for kids, if parents would allow a couple of kids to come on stage. So they walked 3 kids and their parents walked them up to the stage, and security helped them get up there. And he said, "Okay, I'm going to say a word and I want you to repeat it, okay?"
Oh dear.
And so the lead singer said, "Fuck." Well, the first kid looked at him and did not say a word. I mean, there's a sea of 100,000 people here, and this kid's like, no, not doing it. So he gets to the second kid, and he's like, "Okay, I want you to repeat after me. Fuck." And that kid just kind of he looked nervous. I mean, there's a lot of people there, and he didn't say a word. Gets to the third one. Third one says it, and he goes, "You are so grounded." Your parents are gonna ground you.
Oh, you should have took a lesson from the first 2 kids when they said, "Oh, I ain't know." Oh dear. Oh dear, that's fun.
Yeah, and like I said, we're watching a Stained concert tomorrow. Me and my son together online, and that's spending time with my son when I can is part of the reason I breathe.
Right.
It's part of the reason that I try to keep myself going. Because you can only do something so many times and say I'm sorry before they say, "Okay, look, you've said that before."
Exactly. And people don't get that. I mean, okay, you did something messed up, you apologize, okay, forgiven. You do it twice, okay, forgiven. By the third and fourth time, that's like, look, that apology is starting to wear really thin,
Yeah.
Like you said, you can't just keep apologizing. Eventually, it's going to have to stop.
And for when what I was apologizing for, if I were to do it again, there's a chance I may not get to say I'm sorry.
Well, just like, this one story that I heard, and I could not believe I even like heard it with my own ears. I was like, wait, what? because it was this 16-year-old girl who met this guy online who she really liked and, really had an attraction to. They're going back and forth. And then something happened. And all of a sudden, this boy is telling her, why don't you go hang yourself, you fat, ugly cow, and all of this mess going on. Come to find out, the girl wound up committing suicide. She wound up hanging herself. And when the story completely broke, the girl's ex-friend's mother was the one behind that. She was the one who started bullying her. She was the one who created the account of this boy.
Wow.
I said, okay, she need to be sitting under the jail cell. Because you actually, what's the word I'm looking for? You actually precipitated this woman, this young lady, to hang herself.
Like an accessory to a crime.
Right. You caused this young lady to hang herself. And at the end, she didn't even know it was you. She thought it was still that boy that was talking to her.
I know from personal experience, I had someone tell me, I told them, I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go do it. And they said, well, if you're going to do it right this time. And I wound up in ICU.
Wow.
And then the irony of it is that 4 years later, the police found him sitting on the train tracks with a gun to his head.
Wow. What is the irony of that?
The irony is that he's told me that he would never say anything like that to me again because he didn't know until he was walking in my shoes. He didn't know.
That's why you don't judge people because you don't know what people are going through.
But the tip off was that when he messaged me and one other person, he said the truck will be parked by the train tracks at the lake, and dad's truck, not my dad, his dad, but he was like my dad. And the truck, the keys will be in the ignition. And so even though I don't get along with her, he's the father of her children. She called out, we made a decision, she thought she knew his location and she called the cops. But he said that to me, and I said, I hung up on him. I said, all right, I'll go do it right.
That's not right. That's not right. Because obviously, you were going through some things, and have somebody say, okay, well, if you're going to do it, make sure you do it right. It's like, do you know I'm on a ledge right now, and you just pushed me off, And
I was going through something with him.
No, No, that's not right. That is so not right. Because God forbid, what if you had done it right?
I almost did.
That would be on his conscience for the rest of his life. I mean, normally it would affect somebody that way, You don't tell nobody that.
It still eats him to this day. It bothers him. We don't talk about it.
Right.
We don't talk about it. I mean, I've known the man for 29 years. We've been best friends for 29 years, and things just went askew for a bit. And it involved some of his neighbors where I had been living, and they got their 2 cents in, and everything got all screwed out of context. And, but no, we don't talk about it. It's like my mom, I was married for 9 years, and he got addicted to drugs. And I was paying the bills. He was working part-time when he got, he was doing cocaine, crack, smoking crack. He got to smoke crack, and he got to where he was spending his money on the crack, and he was coming to me for money, and he was wanting, I'm trying to pay the bills. I'm trying to keep this roof over our head.
Right.
You got me going to food pantries because we need food. And he ended up going to prison. He held me hostage in our trailer one night when he was like really strung out.
Oh wow.
And yeah. He didn't want to let me go, but he threatened to cut his throat and let me, I was supposed to watch him bleed out. And I managed to escape. And a couple of days later, I had a 50B out on him. But he took my car and he robbed a bank. I didn't know this. And he rented a rental car in my name. And I'm in my car in my grandma's driveway when all these detectives pull up, and they're looking at me like, okay, I'm like, what are you talking? What's going on? And they're like, well, we need to know where your car was today. I'm like, well, my husband had it. At first I said he didn't because I thought it would, violate the 50B, but they're like, well, he robbed a bank. And I'm like, what the?
Oh dear.
Get the, long story short, through his drug use, he ended up using needles. And I was cleaning up after him in the bathroom one day, and I pricked my finger.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so I didn't think nothing else of it, bandaged up, went on about, my business. And then he got put in prison for the bank robbery. And I started hurting really bad, like I had the flu, just aches all over. It got to where I was taking 20 Motrin. And through this marriage, I put my mom and dad through so much, with him being the way he was, that they just got fed up. And so one day I was throwing up blood. And I had been staying at my grandma's, and my mom told me, okay, well, if you need medical help, then I'll call you a cab. Well, later that night, she goes to my grandma's and she's like, where's Michelle? And my brother's old bedroom asleep. And they're like, no, the hospital kept her. And she goes, what do you mean? Oh, she's in liver failure. She needs a new liver. He given me hepatitis B. I had an acute attack on my liver. We don't talk about that anymore because my mom regrets the fact that she said she called me a cab.
Wow. Hey, Cindy. What's going on with you, Cindy?
Okay, so I got this thing on my screen that says live viewer comments show up on StreamYard. This is an example. Click a comment to show it.
Yeah, I got no, I got the same thing. I got the same thing on mine too.
Oh, okay.
Cindy, what's going on with you? She said her anxiety has been really bad today.
Oh, I know how that is.
Oh yeah. Oh, that anxiety. Oof. See, and like in New York City, because I used to live in the city. Well, I was born and bred in the city. Like the subways and the buses is like super crowded, and it's just like my anxiety level goes so up through the roof. I'm like, nope. If I can walk it, I'm gonna walk it. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't do big crowds. I can't do like over the sardine kind of crowded stuff. You know, I can't do it. You know, and like I said, you know, when I started out talking earlier, somebody had mentioned it, you know, that they're having a hard time and stuff, you know, and I get it because I still have hard times from time to time. Every time I try to do something, I just can't sit still. Wow. Girl, trust me, I know. Sometimes I get zoop, zoop, zoop. Like I'll start on a diamond painting. I'll do a diamond painting and I'll go in the kitchen for something to drink. And then I'll turn around and be doing like 20 other things. I'm like, wait a minute, how'd I get here? You know? And then I'll walk away and I'm like, okay, I'm going back to the diamond painting. And then I'll go upstairs and do like 20 other things. And I'm like, okay. You know, it's like my focus gets off kilter, you know, and I get the anxiety. I do. I really do.
Hi, Cindy. I know. Can Cindy hear me?
Can you hear her, Cindy? She might. I don't. I would think that she could hear you.
I understand I understand Cindy's anxiety and I understand her panic. I don't know about you, Lisa, but it's something in the air. For the past couple of days, it's just been, you know, do I want a diamond paint? Will that help? Do I want adult color? Will that help? You know, today I'm running on 2.5 hours sleep and I've had my grandson all day. And wow. I was thinking, you know, do I even want to bother going to the live tonight? You know, sometimes I watch Miss Coffee too. And then sometimes I just can't, you know, but my mind's all over the place with what would help me stabilize myself.
Right.
And then I start worrying about that.
Yeah, right. But she can hear you. She said yes. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, because like last week it was like, and something I haven't done in years is like I literally stayed in bed. Literally stayed in bed. And it's something I don't do. Because I'm usually up doing things, you know. So it's like, okay, I kind of get it. I'm a little depressed at the time, you know, and I still a little depression because, you know, it's Mother's Day, you know, my mom's going, you know, and then when I think about, you know, the rapes and the sexual assault, it bugs me because I could have really used her. I really needed her.
Right.
And she wasn't there. And it's no fault of her own, you know. But, you know, you just need that mother's touch. And I really used it. And, you know, so that kind of ties into, you know, what I'm going through as well. Right. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Cindy. She said her mom's going too.
Yeah, I can see your comments.
Oh, okay. You can? Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. Okay.
Well, it don't pop up on my main screen, but it'll like a number 1 will pop up at the bottom and I click on it and it shows what she said.
Okay. and it's hard because, being the youngest of three, I was very close to my mother, you know, and I just wanted to just crawl up in bed next to her and just hug her and just let her hold me and tell me everything's gonna be all right. And I couldn't get that,
Right.
you know. So I had to make a way of my own, not the best way, not even a good way, but I made it, I had to make it the best way I knew how, you know, which is why now I'm dealing with it because so many years I haven't, you know. I think this is the longest I even talked about it, because the more I talked about it, the more real it got, you know, the more it's like, yeah, this happened. This happened. As much as you want to deny it, nah, it happened, you know. And now I'm at the point where, okay, so now it happened. Now what? Now I have to go through the stages and go through what I gotta go through, and pray for the best,
Yeah.
And if I can help one person throughout my journey, then at the end of the day, it's all worth it. Because we're not the only ones going through. I'm not the only one going through, you know. But I know
Yeah.
that lonely feeling.
Well, and I've noticed I have a friend that I made through a smaller craft group, and they were doing it on Twitch. And we kind of, some of us kind of parted ways, but one of them lives in Germany. She
Mhm.
actually lives overseas, and we talk almost daily. But she's kind of afraid to join the group because she's not one on sharing much with what's going on in her head,
Right.
you know. But I've noticed that a lot of people that diamond paint do have some type of panic, anxiety, bipolar, major recurrent depression, PTSD, night
Hmm.
terrors.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is kind of therapy. This is a form of therapy because when I say when you get out of your head. For me, when I get out of my head and I can put it down on diamond art, then I notice for me it kind of alleviates, the anxiety and the depression, not completely, but alleviates it somewhat, you know.
Yeah, and I'm working on squares right now, and I don't really like doing square diamond paintings, but some of the best come in squares. And I'm so busy struggling with, are my lines straight, you know,
Mhm.
that I forget for a bit. I'm so
Mhm.
concentrated in that moment that I'm like, okay, I know my lines aren't going to be perfect, but I'm not thinking about anything else right
Yeah,
now. But
right.
yeah, and
I
my
mean,
mom, yeah,
go
my
ahead.
mom today, I actually, she deals with her stress. She's on medication as well. And
Hmm.
I got a coloring app on my Nook, and my grandson tried to play it, but he's young and he just pushes all kinds of buttons. Well, my mom seemed interested in it the last time, so I showed her how to use it today, and she sat there and she kept going, just one more picture, just one more picture.
you know and that's the thing because I love squids, so I like rounds too, but I love squids more, and I know mines aren't completely exactly straight, but at the end of the day you have to remember the only way you're going to tell they're not straight is unless it's sitting on a light pad, depending
Yeah,
on how crooked they are, you know I mean,
unless you
if
buy
it's
from unless you buy from Huacant.
who can't.
Huacan, it's called Huacant. That's what we call it
Oh, okay.
because they have popping drills and
Uh-huh. Yeah, so it's like at the end of the day, I know, you know, my diamonds aren't exactly straight, but they're not to the point where, if you just look at it without the light pad, you can tell it's crooked. You'd have to actually look at it on the light pad to see that they weren't straight. I
Yeah.
tried to get them. I tried to get them as straight as I can, but I'm not gonna get OCD with it either.
Yeah. Well,
Because then
now
I'll
when
be.
I do rounds, I actually use a mesh wire ruler. And the reason I use it not only is because it keeps out the drills that are too big or whatever, but it sections off a section for me. I just throw the ruler down and once I've complete that section, I move the ruler over.
Yep. I've heard about the rulers too. Just like, coming into it, people asking, well, what do you use? Do you use a 3-placer? Do you use a 4-placer? I said, no, I single place. Wait, you single place? I said, yeah.
You still single place?
I try to use a multi-placer and it doesn't work for me. So
I use the 4-placer and the 7.
Mm-hmm.
That's as big as I go.
Mm-hmm. Because I'm already going through some issues. So, I'm not going to sit here and fight with a 4-placer. 4-placer make it exacerbate my issue. No, So, and like I had, a girlfriend of mine. She posted up a video in Let's Smith Talk Mental Health. Me and her have been friends for like 20 plus years. And it breaks my heart because I know all the things that she's gone through, and I know the things that she's going through,
Right.
And at the end of the day, the only thing I can really do is be there for her,
That's actually all any of us can really do is listen.
Exactly. Because even if you think about therapy, all they doing is listening. For the most part, and sometimes, and what I learned about myself is that talking about it, I usually always have these kind of epiphanies that pop up. I'm like, oh, so that's why that happened. Oh, so that's why that was, I understand the power of talking about it because what I did not see when I was in it, as I talk about it, then it was like a light bulb. And it was like, oh. Wow. Sorry to hear that, Cindy. But it's like, and when I went to rehab, one of the first questions they asked me is if you had a hobby, and I never understood that question. I was like, what the hell I got to do with my addiction? The hell I got to do with my mental issues? The hell I got to do with anything? You're welcome, Cindy. And then I get it. I had an epiphany. I get it. Because having a hobby, for me, it helps take me out of my head. I'm not constantly thinking about, the rape or the assault. I'm not thinking about, the depression, the anxiety, the PTSD. I'm not thinking about that. I got my mind focused on one thing and it helps. Sometimes I put on music. Most of the time I like to say watch TV, but I wind up listening to the TV while I do this. But sometimes I like to put my headphones on and just listen to music and just doing it, And it's relaxing for me. It's therapeutic for me. So I get it. I get why you asked that question. But anyway, guys, it's we went a little over tonight. This was a very good conversation. As always, Michelle.
Yes.
Like I said, I will continue to do uploads, and maybe on a Sunday afternoon or something, we can do a whip and chat where we sit and talk about crazy stuff, you know, and just have a good laugh.
Yeah, everybody's got a story to tell.
Hell, I got a bunch of them. I was in the military. I got a bunch of them. So maybe I'll do it like Sunday. I will do a like a StreamYard thing and put it out, hours before I do it, to let y'all know that I'm doing just a regular with that, kind of take our minds off the heavy stuff that we talked about tonight and just kind of get a little light.
Yeah.
And laugh and joke and, do all kinds of crazy
stuff. Don't forget to take your kids on vacation with you.
Yeah.
Don't leave them at home 3 years in a row.
I was like, oh my gosh. And the same two Roberts, y'all about as dumb as they come. Why y'all keep messing with their kids? Y'all ain't learned from the first time. He done messed y'all up. You had to come back. And then you found them in New York. I was like, oh, really? I'm like, oh, dear. Marvin. I forget what the other one was. Marvin was one.
Yeah.
I forget what Joe Pesci's name was.
I can't remember. I just remember him falling downstairs and ice and
hitting the head with
the paint cans and.
That was hilarious. I said, oh my gosh. And then y'all don't even realize it until y'all just about at your vacation spot. Y'all wait until y'all good and set and on the plane. Okay, we got everything. Plane taking off. Yeah, we forgot so-and-so. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we forgot him. I was like, really? Y'all did this like 2-3 times. But anyway, I just want to say thank you as always, Michelle. Mm-hmm. Cindy, I'm here for you. If you need to reach out and just talk, I'm here. And with all that, like I said, Sunday I'll do a whip and chat where we can sit and chat about crazy stuff. And with that said, I want to wish everybody a good night and have a good weekend.
Yes.
Mother's Day is this weekend, right?
Yes.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
I'm not a mom, so that's okay. But happy Mother's Day. Cindy, if you're a mom, happy Mother's Day.
And I was born on Mother's Day, so.
Oh, yes, right. Happy birthday. Okay. Happy birthday and happy Mother's Day. There you go.
Yeah, as long as they don't throw a surprise on me like they did that one year. We went to the beach and they were giving me my Mother's Day present, and I got to the bottom of the bag and there was a sonogram picture, and I'm like, oh, look, Jacob, Nana, wait a minute, I'm going to be a grandma? What the? I get one of those and I'm going to return to sender.
Oh, wait, you going to return to sender?
But yes, thank you very much.
So have a happy day. Have a happy Mother's Day. Have a blessed birthday. Cindy, I love you too, girl. Everybody, thank you. And have a good night.
You too. Bye, Cindy.
Bye, Cindy.